know what? I forgot to change the name of this. Playing Elder Scrolls Online on Linux with, there you go. That's much better. Persist, please. There we go. It never fails. As soon as I start recording or streaming, the world is like, you know what we should do? We should message EG right now. It happens every single time. But anyways, this probably won't be very long because I just want to talk about the game and then uninstall it. Whoops, that was some foreshadowing. But no, Elder Scrolls Online isn't bad. It's not a bad game. It's not my style. Though I will say that MMOs are not generally my style for a number of reasons. One of the biggest reasons is that I have a couple number one reasons. I guess the main reason I don't really like MMOs is that they always seem to lack a lot of depth. And I think that of all of the MMOs that I've played, Elder Scrolls Online lacks the most depth. It's fine as a game. It's fine as an MMO once you take into consideration that MMOs are generally depthless. Though the old school MMOs weren't bad. World of Warcraft has a lot of depth in a lot of ways. It has a great story. That has a really cool world. The original EverQuest also had a lot of depth in different ways. It had a great world. It had a great story and everything. And then if you look at a game like ESO here, that really kind of has a leg up in a lot of respects. Like the Elder Scrolls Online has a phenomenal world right out of the gate. It has a really, really great story. Like there has so many things going for it, and they just took everything that the series has going for it and screwed it up in so many ways. And let me explain what I mean by that. So, looks like my audio is a little loud. Let me turn that down right after I kill this guy. So, what I mean by that is the world of the Elder Scrolls world, I guess, Tamriel and all of that. It has just like huge depth in history, and there's just so much going on, and it seems like, come on, that was weird. I'm like stunned really bad. And it seems like with every new release, they take, I haven't played this in a couple weeks, I forgot like how to block and stuff. They cut a little bit more out of the spirit of the series. So I started playing Elder Scrolls stuff with Daggerfall when I was like 10, and I got so into that game. I was just like obsessed with it. I've played it front to back, like the main story, at least twice, and the world of Daggerfall was just like, just the size of it was comical, even at the time where massive fantasy worlds weren't uncommon. Daggerfall's just like took it a step further, and it was just ridiculous. And when Morrowind came out, that was also really, really awesome, but it was also a disappointment in a lot of ways, because I think that Bethesda kind of realized that the scope of the world of Daggerfall was untenable. Like they couldn't possibly make another game that was that size. It was just too big, especially with the advancements of 3D graphics, because Daggerfall wasn't, it was 3D, but it was like there was a lot of 2D. It was common for 90s games, like it was 3D but not. And then Morrowind, they wanted to make full 3D, and there's just no way that they could have made a world that size with a full 3D engine. It's just, there's too much going on. So Morrowind, in comparison, is much smaller than Daggerfall, but it was also a smaller area. Like it was Vardenfell instead of the entire region of High Rock and some of the region of Hammerfell. But it was still good, you know, like it was a fantastic game. The story of Morrowind was just amazing. The stuff that you could do in Morrowind, like how much freedom you had was just, it was incredible. It was a really, really good game. Then Oblivion came out, and just like with Morrowind and Daggerfall, Oblivion dumbed the series down. The story was kind of lame, to be honest. Like, it was interesting, the story arc was interesting, but it was just so, like, bombastic. You know, like the king dies, and voiced by this voice act, you know, is Patrick Stewart. Like, oh, we got to bring some star power in, and then the king dies, which is like a huge deal, you know. And then suddenly, you know, there's a secret era that's there, and then
You aren't at all what I was expecting.
Oblivion is coming. Like, it was just so, like, out of control.
Talk. What brings you to this trash pit? Sneak up on you? Not sharp.
I'm not playing for the story, so I'm just gonna
you can take clothes from hampers or off dead sea drakes.
just do this. So yeah, that was Oblivion. It was still a good game. The gameplay was good and everything. But then Skyrim came out, and I mean, I don't think many people disagree. Skyrim is terrible. Like, the story is an absolute abomination. Dragons were really popular at the time. Like, oh, we got to get some dragons in there. So Bethesda just fabricated this fucking awful story where this elder dragon is going to come back, and, you know, it's the end of ages and everything. And it's like, what the hell? If you know anything about Elder Scrolls lore, there's nothing like that in there at all. Like, the only elder dragon that there is was Akatosh, and he was like a real god, an Aedra, I guess. The Daedras, or the concept of a Daedric plane with, you know, like, ultimate power, wasn't really even a thing until Oblivion. Like, they were always kind of there, but they didn't have nearly the power that they did.
You better run if you don't want the sea drakes to gut.
They didn't have nearly the amount of power they did in Skyrim until about Oblivion. Like, in Daggerfall, you could summon them, and in Morrowind, you could summon them too, but they played a bit bigger role. Like, you encountered Daedric creatures more often in Morrowind, but they just kept ramping it up. And it just got stupid. So, yeah, the story in Skyrim was terrible. The gameplay, everything else about Skyrim's great. The graphics are great. The gameplay's great. It's a little shallow, I guess. If you play it for a long time, you realize that there's not as much to do as you might expect. But in general, I think Skyrim's good. Just the story is trash. And then that leads us to Elder Scrolls Online. And again, the story is trash. The story for this game is just not good. But at the same time, it's an MMO. So, I mean, you might think that there's not really a whole lot to work with because it's an online game and there's all this stuff going on and everything. But I don't know. EverQuest had a pretty good background lore and story.
Who are you?
And they invented it. Like, you know, with Elder Scrolls Online, they had this entire
monster.
Like, they had an entire world that was already built, and they just needed to pick an era and build a story and go with it. And they just came up with this stupid story that is almost like a rehash of Oblivion, where it's like, oh, this Daedric Lord is taking over things and you have to fight him. It's like, didn't we do this already? Like, the world is like, the world of Elder Scrolls is so big. That's what you came up with? Like, are you serious? Stupid. And World of Warcraft is another excellent example where the world of the world of Warcraft has an enormous amount of lore, and when they came up with the game, they did a really good job of kind of putting it all together. Elder Scrolls, like, totally did not. The story is just stupid. But what they did do well, as far as the story and quests and stuff, asshat, is the voice acting is just phenomenal. In fact, I would say that this game has the best voice acting that I have ever heard in a Bethesda game, period. Like, it's better than Oblivion's was terrible. Let's just get that out of the way. Skyrim's was not good. I remember Fallout's being pretty, like Fallout 3. I haven't played Fallout 4, but I remember Fallout 3 being okay. But they really, like, knocked it out of the park with this one. The voice acting is so good. So, I mean, if you can overlook the problems that I have, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has these kind of problems, if you can overlook the problems with the story and the lack of lore in this game, and you just kind of take it for what it is, like almost treat it like it's its own game, then it's probably pretty good. Like if they hadn't already done Daggerfall, and if they hadn't already expanded what all Daedrus could do, then the story wouldn't be so bad. But they've literally already done this before. Like they had a chance to come up with something new and creative, and they just didn't. They were like, hey, people like this, just like Skyrim. Hey, people like dragons, let's create a story about dragons. It's just embarrassing. I probably shouldn't just be grabbing stuff, but I'm going to uninstall this after this stream.
Another torturer from Helene. Even I know.
So, and the reason why I'm gonna uninstall this is,
Kill every last one of them you see.
the hell? Oh, resurrection pending. Whoa. The reason why I'm gonna uninstall it is because I'm glad I played the game, because I really wanted to, you know, try it out, experience it. It's not a bad game. It's just not my style. But the game is fucking huge. After the patch that I posted a picture of on Twitter, that patch was 57 gigabytes. And now the total installed size of this game is 90 gigs. 90. 9-0. For an online game. A lot of this shit is coming, like there's a lot happening server side. Why the hell does the client need all of this? It's unacceptable. And for a game I'm only going to play maybe once a month, I'm not going to have 90 gigs just sitting on my hard drive. Forget it. So that's why I'm going to uninstall this. And it's unfortunate because, like, I don't hate the game. I don't hate playing it. There are things I don't like, but I'm not going to play it all the time. But if it's going to sit there and take up 90 gigs, I'm not going to play it at all. I keep using my abilities, and I shouldn't be doing that. So as far as the abilities go, they're not creative. But it's kind of hard to come up with something creative in the world of MMOs when there are so many, and everybody has done MMOs. To come up with something original and creative is pretty much impossible, so I can't really rag on them too bad for that. What is creative and original, I think, and I put original in quotes because it's kind of it's almost a gimmick, I think, is you can go first person and play like this. Look, I've got a shield, I've got a weapon, I'll talk to this person.
You're a welcome sight. Almost done then. I'll be visiting. Her cabin girl had a good trick that. I'll be visiting her.
And yeah, so I'm in first person. I think my weapon is enchanted or something. I don't remember what I was doing when I last played. It was a while ago. But I can find people like, hey, here's some guys. And look, it's kind of like I'm playing Skyrim, you know? First person. I'm just like kind of swinging wildly. I think you can charge it like that, you know? It's like Skyrim or any other Elder Scrolls game. But in reality, that's just a gimmick. It might as well just be auto attack. I mean, yeah, you can do like power attacks and stuff, which is cool, I guess. But they could have just as easily made the power attack a hotkey. They just, I mean, they took auto attack away. And you could actually, there's probably a toggle for it. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't looked, but there's no, by default, there's no auto attack. You have to just click like this, and you can hold to do power attacks. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you just use your abilities anyways, so I find myself very rarely using those. And I'm sure other classes use them too, like, okay. But what I'm trying to say is that I think that they added this, like, first-person thing to make it feel more like Skyrim. Which is disingenuous because this doesn't play anything like Skyrim. You can also go to items, which I probably won't be able to find any. Yeah, like you can search barrels. Like, that's cool. That's, again, like Skyrim. You can go into people's houses and do the same thing. If people see you, then you're stealing and you have to pay a fine. You can go into crouch mode, which doesn't ever seem to work. See, he already knows I'm here. And I'm a Nightblade, so it's like I specialize in stealth. I don't see how he knew I was there. So all these mechanics are familiar, but they don't really work the way you would expect. And like I said, in my opinion, that just makes them feel like a gimmick. Like they're trying to make people who are used to playing traditional Elder Scrolls game games be like, oh, okay, so this is a Elder Scrolls game. Not really. It is just an MMO with a lot of polish to make it look like an Elder Scrolls game. They should take Skyrim and make it multiplayer. I think that there was a movement to do that, like there was a mod to do that. I don't know what happened to it though. But yeah, I mean they could have done that. I was kind of hoping that maybe it would be like that. I'm in Stros Mackay right now. I'm gonna go back to Hammerfall, so you can. There's something else. There's another piece to this whole puzzle I want to talk about, but I can't talk about it here. I have to go back to Hammerfall or High Rock. I think that this quest I'm supposed to recruit people to do a heist or something, and it's like, okay, sounds like fun, I guess.
Yeah? Captain Larissa never leaves anyone behind. Make sure she's safe.
The way that you specialize your character kind of reminds me a little bit of Rift. When I played Rift, I haven't played. Last time I played Rift was like forever ago. Conjure a ring of shadow? Where'd this come from? I mean, sure. I have 5 skill points. Oh, it's an ultimate ability? Oh, God. Look, I have an ult. I'm not going to comment about the PvP or abilities like ult abilities and stuff because I haven't done it. I'm sure it's fine. That sort of gameplay is totally not my style, so. What are my thoughts on Red Hat buying the Red Hat IBM thing?
Why have you? Did you poison me?
I don't know.
Are you feeling okay?
Gut you like a stuck
Hold on.
pig.
I don't know what's going on here.
Cut your eyes out. Roast you.
Like you did my crew? No, that won't happen again.
Doesn't seem to see me. Okay.
Down. Me? Oh, it's Yard. I feel mild.
Leave. Let her die slowly. Can I kill her? Oh. No, I'm not invested in the story enough to do anything like that. Saints Port. Ah! Anyways, what do I think about Red Hat and IBM? So, IBM just purchased Red Hat. And there's a lot of hubbub about what's going on. I think it could go either way. A really good friend of mine worked at IBM for a long time. And his opinion on it is IBM is a very large corporation run by executives and shareholders. And the folks that run it, they look at IBM like it's an investment. Its purpose is to make money, and that's what it does. Open source does not make money. That's like you don't make an open source project and just hope money comes in. You have to market it and sell it and all that. So Red Hat has a business model around supporting. I'm not really sure. Consulting for. They have ways of making money off of open source software, and they always have. So that's not likely going to change. IBM has been trying to break into the cloud market for a long time, and for a lot of different reasons, they just haven't. And that was their primary motivator for purchasing Red Hat. Now, the funny thing is that Red Hat also isn't doing as great as you may expect in the cloud. Like I would have expected IBM to be doing well in the cloud, but they're not. I think most people think that Red Hat's doing well in the cloud, and they're not doing as well as you might expect. Ubuntu, like Canonical, without any question, they hold the torch for a Linux company, for lack of a better term, owning the cloud, period. Like they have the most deployments in Azure. Ubuntu has the most deployments in Azure. They have the most deployments in AWS. They have the most Docker images. They have the most Vagrant images. Like they're dominating. So it's interesting that IBM would choose to buy out Red Hat, which cost them a fortune, and do an almost aggressive takeover because the shareholders, they wouldn't, like, a bunch of money's coming in, so Red Hat pretty much had to agree to it. But I think at the end of the day, it could go either way. If IBM agrees to continue to support open source and continues to allow Red Hat to support open source, then I think it could be really good. But at the same time, if Red Hat or if IBM says, no, this open source thing, we don't understand it, it doesn't make us money, there's like Fedora, which doesn't earn any money at all, there's no point doing it, so we're just going to not spend money on projects like Fedora and other open source projects, then it would be really bad. Simple as that.
My crew's safe, and only a little bit tortured. She's a bit too obsessed with old... You! Hey, you!
What? No, leave me alone.
You. Yeah, you!
Yes, me. This is better than what I have, right? Oh, it's not. Alright, what do you want?
I didn't think... I'm Nicolene. And listen, just so you know, we're set up in a hideout near the docks. There's 3 folks...
Okay. Am I done with this quest? Can I go to... High Rock now? I think I can. Yes, I am done. Okay. Yeah, you heard it could be good or bad as well. My position is that it could be good or bad. I think that at the end of the day, nothing will change. And if anything does change, it will happen over a long period of time and people won't even realize it's happening. Like if IBM decides to start pulling support away from open source projects, specifically GNOME, because I mean, everybody knows about Fedora, you know, like that's the big thing. Like, oh, Fedora. But Red Hat also employs a lot of people that just do work on GNOME without any direct benefit to Red Hat. They're just people that work on GNOME applications and stuff, and that's all they do. That doesn't benefit Red Hat at all. They're just being a steward of the community. So if IBM looks at those people and says, why are we paying for these guys that are not benefiting the company at all, and they pull the plug on it, then that would really suck. And I think that there is a very good possibility that that will happen. But like most things in big open source projects, I mean, if the guy that works on Builder, GNOME Builder, for example, if he gets cut, then he'll probably keep working on it, or somebody else will fill his shoes, you know? So I don't think it's going to have a huge impact, but I think that the net impact will be negative. So where is the person that will sail me away? Oh, I went the wrong way. That's why. See, look how small this is. This looks like it's big. Like, this looks like a big area, but it's not. It's actually really small. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment when we get to High Rock. High Rock is very important to me.
I've little time for talk.
Because, like I was saying at the beginning of this video, I played Daggerfall a lot.
It depends where you need to go. Have you been to Betnik? I can get you.
I don't even know where Betnik is. Daggerfall. That's where I want to go. Glen Umbra. That was a city-state in Daggerfall. It wasn't the name of a frickin' region. Like, they rewrote history. Did I finish Delver? I've beat Delver before, but the playthrough that you probably saw, I died. And I'll play it again. There's nothing... I have nothing against Delver. It was just a game that I played a few times and died, and moving on to something else. But it's still there. Delver's a good game. Highly recommend. Let's go here. That sounds good. Can I just go south here? I think I might have to follow the river, but let's go through Daggerfall.
Doesn't seem like I'm getting much.
So, like I was saying before, Daggerfall is huge. The game of Daggerfall was huge. It is just like ridiculously, almost comically big. So there's no, I don't think there's any expectation that Bethesda is going to recreate that universe. So they had to kind of downscale it a little bit. Now the problem that I have with it is that they downscaled it way too much. Like, this is insulting. To me, who is somebody that is a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls lore, huge fan of the old games, what they did to High Rock is just insulting, and I cannot overlook it. So, like I said, about 500 times now, Daggerfall is huge. So it seems reasonable that they would, you know, shrink everything down. The city of Daggerfall is like 1/1,000,000th the size as it was in the game. And unfortunately, they did the same thing to the region of High Rock. Now it is literally an MMO zone, and I find that really unfortunate. So I can deal with the reduction of size of Daggerfall, like the city. It would have been cooler if maybe there was just some areas that were off limits to players and you could just like see the sprawling houses. Because Daggerfall, the city, it's the capital of the region. Like, it's a huge city. It's massive. And this is not a huge city. This is like a joke, to be honest. Like, it's not big. But okay, I can get over that. That's fine. But like I said, what I can't get over is this is High Rock. This is all of High Rock. That's not true. There's actually some going out this way, but this is the peninsula of High Rock. And it's tiny. Like, the island of Brittany should be right here. It's just gone. This is the island of Battle something. I can't remember, but there's supposed to be a huge tower here, and it's really important in the main story. This is the frickin' island, and it's tiny. Like, the island was huge, and in here it's like the size of a thumbnail. It's just not good. So you can run from the docks to the entrance of the city in about 30 seconds. That sucks. And then I'm already outside the city into the forest. And there you go. Like, I could just follow this river. Like, it's not the same. This isn't the same place. Like, this isn't the same world at all. The map looks like High Rock, but this is not High Rock. It's just not. High Rock is huge. This is tiny. It's silly. And I know that like I'm going on about this, and like I said, in the grand scheme of things, for folks that don't really care about the lore, or, you know, they're fine with these changes. It's not a big deal. But for somebody that grew up with the game, why can't I zoom in anymore? There we go. Oh my god, I'm all the way over here. Wow, I went further than I thought. But for somebody that kind of grew up with the lore and stuff, this is just, this is not something that I can accept. I will not accept this. So, yeah, that pretty much summarizes my thoughts on Elder Scrolls. No, that doesn't summarize. That's the long form of my thoughts on Elder Scrolls Online. The TLDR version would be, in general, it is a good MMO. It has gimmicks that make it feel like an Elder Scrolls game, but at the end of the day, it is a generic MMO with some unique aspects that tries to look like it is in the Elder Scrolls world. And it is, you know, like they write the history books, and this is Elder Scrolls, that's fine. But for a Elder Scrolls fan, like a really hardcore fan like me, it's just not the same world at all. But for folks that just want to play a cool and more unique MMO than other games, I think in a lot of ways it reminds me of Guild Wars. How if you play Guild Wars, it's a very unique game, but at the end of the day, it's just MMO. This is, again, a very unique game, but it's still just an MMO. So if you're into MMOs, then who's that? If you're into MMOs, then this is definitely a good one to check out. You'll probably like it. But if you're already not a fan of MMOs, okay, I'm floating. By the way, if you notice my mouse, I don't know what's going on. This is probably a wine thing. Because occasionally wine games have input issues. No, there's no new Elder Scrolls games coming out anytime soon. I watched a video and the guy had a lot of interesting data points, and he suspects that a new Elder Scrolls game will be coming out closer to 2022, so in like 4 years, which is, it sounds like a long time, but if you look at their backlog of games that they're producing, that seems pretty on track. But I don't think that Elder Scrolls Online was ever intended to be a replacement for single-player Elder Scrolls games. They just have a lot of different franchises they're working with, and since Skyrim was so big, there's Fallout 4, and then they have a sci-fi one coming out, and they've got all this stuff going on. So it's taking a long time to get to the next one. But that's also another thing to point out. This is not a replacement for an Elder Scrolls game. I actually went into this thinking that it might be, because when Proton and SteamPlay came out, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to play Skyrim again. And I did, and I beat Skyrim, and it was fine. But I was thinking, you know, I'm really into this. I want more Elder Scrolls action. So I got Elder Scrolls Online, and I played it, and I'm glad I did, but it's just not for me. It's totally not my style of game. What happened? What? Okay, I guess we have to wait for 10 seconds. That's fine. Should probably respond to the people that were like, oh, EG's online. Let's start barraging him with messages. I wanted to log in as this person really quick. Because, I mean, of course, I want to check out all of the worlds, and the land of the Khajiit always sounded interesting. So let's drop in and check it out. But yeah, so I'm glad I had tried this out. Not the game for me. If you're into MMOs, you might like it. You probably will like it, actually. Not a bad game. Not bad at all. Classes are interesting. The races are obviously interesting. It's, you know, Elder Scrolls races and stuff. Quests are interesting enough. Voice acting is great. The world is interesting. It's a little lonely, though. Like, there's, I mean, do you see any players? There were players in High Rock, but on kind of weird one-off places like this, there's not a lot going on. Are these guys bad guys? Hello? No?
Hope no more get into the camp.
Man, it seems like my input issue's getting worse. It's like it's taking a lot of effort to move the mouse, and it's bugging me. I don't remember this being an issue before, so maybe it's a regression, or maybe it deals with like the patch or something. Oh, I don't have any abilities. Holy crap. That was weird. There you go. Eh. It's not that bad. It's just not my style. There's also a lot of stuff I didn't experience. Like, you can get mounts, you can get houses, there's PvP, all sorts of cool stuff that I haven't even checked out, but I'm just not into it. It's unfortunate I'm uninstalling it, but I don't want like a 100 gigabyte game that I rarely play just sitting on my hard drive. Whoa. Needless to say, it runs really well on Linux. These are the NVIDIA drivers, and I played them with the 390 driver. This is NVIDIA 410, which has the Vulkan improvements. I played this game with the 390 drivers, and it was fine. I didn't notice a difference at all. According to Steam, I'm getting 60 frames a second. Not bad. Runs fine. Like, if you're interested in checking out the game and you're on Linux, you totally should. I'm not even sure what class I am. Is this just like a basic warrior? It's Templar, and I don't have any abilities, really? Seems odd. But anyways, yeah. That's gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for stopping by.